When my real estate agent said she wanted to show me one final property, I didn't expect her to hand me the keys to her own house. "This one's special," she whispered. "I only show it to clients I trust." What happened during that private tour changed everything between us. Welcome to Secret Stories, where hidden confessions and forbidden moments come to life. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to join our community of secret keepers. My name is Alex, and I'm 26 years old. I work as a marketing manager for a tech company, and after 2 years of saving every penny, I was finally ready to buy my first home. The process had been more overwhelming than I expected. Mortgage pre-approvals, neighborhood research, endless online listings that either looked nothing like their photos or were way outside my budget. That's when a friend recommended I work with a professional real estate agent rather than trying to navigate everything on my own. That's how I met Sophia Martinez. Sophia is 45 years old with perfectly styled blonde hair that she usually keeps in a sleek professional style, piercing green eyes, and the kind of confidence that immediately puts you at ease while also making it clear she knows exactly what she's doing. She always dressed impeccably for our appointments: crisp white blouses, tailored black skirts, and sheer black pantyhose that gave her an elegant, polished appearance that screamed success. Everything about Sophia suggested she was at the top of her field, and after our first meeting, I understood why she came so highly recommended. From day one, Sophia was incredibly professional and thorough. She listened carefully to what I was looking for: a 2-bedroom condo or townhouse, good neighborhood, reasonable commute to work, something that felt like home rather than just an investment. She never tried to push properties outside my budget or convince me to compromise on features that were important to me. Instead, she seemed genuinely interested in finding the perfect match between what I wanted and what was available in the market. Over the course of 6 weeks, Sophia showed me probably 15 different properties. Some were close but not quite right. Great location but too small. Perfect layout but questionable neighborhood. Beautiful space but priced beyond what I could comfortably afford. Each time, Sophia was patient and encouraging, reminding me that finding the right home takes time and that we'd know it when we found it. "The worst thing you can do," she told me after a particularly disappointing showing, "is settle for something that doesn't feel right just because you're tired of looking. Your home should be a place where you can truly relax and be yourself." What I appreciated most about working with Sophia was how she made me feel like her only client, even though I knew she had to be working with multiple buyers. She always returned my calls within hours, never seemed rushed during our appointments, and remembered details about my preferences that even I sometimes forgot. She had this way of making the entire process feel personal rather than transactional. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice other things about Sophia beyond her professional competence. The way she moved through properties with such grace and confidence, how she'd lean in close to point out architectural details, the subtle scent of her perfume that I'd catch when we were looking at floor plans together. There was something undeniably attractive about her expertise, her success, her complete command of every situation we encountered. I told myself it was just professional admiration. Sophia was beautiful, accomplished, clearly out of my league, and most importantly, my real estate agent. Nothing about our relationship suggested she saw me as anything more than a client, albeit one she seemed to genuinely want to help. That all changed on a Thursday evening in late October. I'd just gotten home from work when my phone rang. Sophia's name appeared on the screen, which was unusual. She typically called during business hours or sent texts about scheduling. "Alex," she said when I answered, and her voice had a different quality than usual, softer, more personal. "I hope I'm not calling too late, but something just came on the market that I think might be perfect for you." "Really?" I asked, immediately interested. After 6 weeks of looking, I was starting to worry that maybe I was being too picky, that the perfect place simply didn't exist in my price range. "It's not officially listed yet," she continued. "The owner is someone I know personally, and they're considering selling but want to keep it quiet for now. Would you be available for a private showing tomorrow evening, around 7? "Absolutely," I said. "What's the address?" There was a pause before she answered. "I'll text you the details. Alex, I want you to know that I don't usually do this. Show properties before they're officially listed, especially ones this special. But after working with you these past weeks, I feel like I understand what you're looking for, and I think this might be exactly right. I really appreciate that, Sophia. Thank you for thinking of me. Of course, she said, and I could hear her smiling. I'll see you tomorrow at 7. And Alex, keep an open mind about this one. Sometimes the perfect home comes from the most unexpected places. The next evening, I drove to the address Sophia had texted me, which turned out to be in one of the most desirable neighborhoods in the city. Tree-lined streets, beautiful architecture, the kind of area I'd admired but assumed was out of my price range. The specific address led me to a stunning Victorian-style house with a wraparound porch, mature landscaping, and the kind of character that you can't find in new construction. I parked on the street and walked up to the front door, expecting to meet Sophia there as we'd done with every other property. Instead, I found a note taped to the door in her handwriting. Alex, I'm already inside getting things ready. The door's unlocked, come on in. S. I opened the front door and stepped into what was immediately obvious was not just another property showing. The house was clearly lived in. Personal photos on the mantle, books and magazines scattered on coffee tables, the subtle signs of someone's actual life rather than the sterile staging of a house for sale. Sophia? I called out. In the kitchen, her voice replied. Follow the hallway back. I walked through a beautiful living room with hardwood floors and built-in bookshelves, past a formal dining room with an antique table set for two, and into a kitchen that looked like something from a home design magazine. Sophia was standing by the island wearing her usual professional attire, a crisp white blouse and black skirt with those sheer black pantyhose I'd become accustomed to seeing, but something about her demeanor was different, more relaxed, more personal. Welcome to my home, she said with a smile that was warmer and more intimate than any I'd seen from her during our professional interactions. Your home? I asked, confused. My home, she confirmed. I told you this property was special, that it came from someone I know personally. I'm the someone, Alex. This is the house I think might be perfect for you. I looked around the kitchen again, this time noticing personal details I'd missed. Family photos on the refrigerator, a coffee mug with her name on it, fresh flowers that were clearly arranged by someone who lived there rather than staged by a realtor. I don't understand, I said. Are you moving? Selling your house? Sophia moved closer to me, close enough that I could smell her perfume, that subtle, elegant scent I'd noticed during our appointments. I might be, she said, if the right buyer came along. Someone who would appreciate it, take care of it, understand what makes it special. Sophia, what's going on? I asked, though part of me was beginning to understand that this evening was about much more than real estate. What's going on? She said, her voice softer now, more personal than it had ever been during our professional relationship. Is that I've been thinking about you, Alex. A lot more than I should be thinking about a client. The admission hung in the air between us. I felt my heart rate increase as I processed what she was telling me. I've been doing this job for 15 years, she continued, and I've worked with hundreds of clients. I've always been completely professional, always maintained appropriate boundaries. But with you, something has been different from the beginning. Different how? I asked, though I thought I might know what she meant. Different in the way I look forward to our appointments more than I should. Different in the way I find myself thinking about you between our meetings. Different in the way I care about finding you the perfect home, not just because it's my job, but because I want you to be happy. She moved even closer, close enough that I could see the details of her makeup, could notice that she'd taken extra care with her appearance for this evening. Sophia, I said quietly, what are you saying? I'm saying that over these past 6 weeks, you've become more than a client to me. I'm saying that I invited you here tonight not just to show you my house, but because I wanted you to see where I live, how I live, to understand me as more than just your real estate agent. I looked around the kitchen again, seeing it now through completely different eyes. This wasn't a property showing. This was Sophia inviting me into her personal space, sharing something intimate and private with me. Your house is beautiful, I said, meaning it on multiple levels. Would you like the full tour? She asked, and there was something in the way she said it that made it clear we weren't just talking about real estate anymore. I'd love that, I replied. What followed was unlike any property tour I'd ever experienced. Sophia showed me through her home with the same attention to detail and professional knowledge she'd demonstrated with every other property. But this time, it was personal. She told me stories about why she'd chosen certain pieces of furniture, shared memories associated with different rooms, explained how she'd renovated spaces to better suit her needs. But more than that, she was sharing herself with me. This was her sanctuary, her private retreat from the professional world, and she was letting me into it in a way that felt incredibly intimate. "This is my favorite room," she said as we entered her home office. A cozy space with built-in shelves, a comfortable reading chair, and a desk positioned to take advantage of natural light from a large window. "This is where I do my real work, not just the showing and selling, but the research, the market analysis, the planning that goes into finding people their perfect homes." She moved to stand behind her desk, running her hand along its surface. "I've spent a lot of late nights in this room over the years, working on deals, trying to make everything perfect for my clients." "Including me?" I asked. She smiled, and it was that same warm, personal smile I'd seen in the kitchen. "Especially you. Alex, I want you to understand something. The amount of time and effort I've put into finding you the right home, it's gone far beyond what I normally do for clients." "Why?" I asked, though I thought I was beginning to understand. "Because somewhere along the way, your happiness became important to me. Not just professionally, but personally." The confession was overwhelming. Here was this successful, sophisticated woman telling me that she'd been thinking about me the way I'd been thinking about her. "Sophia," I said, moving closer to where she stood behind her desk, "I need to tell you something too." "What's that?" "I've been thinking about you as more than just my real estate agent too. Every time we met, every property we looked at together, I found myself more impressed not just by your professionalism, but by you as a person." She looked at me with an expression I'd never seen from her before. Vulnerable, hopeful, completely different from the confident professional demeanor she always maintained. "Really?" she asked. "Really. You're brilliant, successful, beautiful, and you've made this entire process feel personal in a way that I never expected." She came around from behind her desk, moving to stand directly in front of me. "Alex, what I'm about to suggest might be completely inappropriate, given our professional relationship." "What are you suggesting?" "I'm suggesting that maybe we explore what might happen if we stop thinking about this as a professional relationship and started thinking about it as something more personal." The air between us felt charged with possibility. "And what about the house? Are you really thinking about selling?" She smiled, reaching out to touch my arm gently. "That depends." "On what?" "On whether I find a buyer who makes me think that maybe sharing my space with someone wouldn't be such a bad idea." I understood then that this entire evening had been about much more than real estate. Sophia had created an elaborate way to invite me into her life, to share her most personal space with me, to see if what had been developing between us professionally could become something more intimate and real. "Are you offering to sell me your house?" I asked. "Or are you offering something else entirely?" "What if I told you I was offering both?" she said, stepping closer. "What if I told you that the perfect home for you might be one where you're not living alone?" Before I could respond, she kissed me. It was soft at first, tentative, like she was still asking permission. But when I responded, when I pulled her closer to me, it deepened into something that felt like months of professional attraction finally being allowed to become personal. When we separated, we were both breathing hard. "This is crazy," I said. "Is it?" she asked. "Or is it two adults who've gotten to know each other well enough to realize there's something worth exploring? What about our professional relationship? What about it? You're looking for a home. I have a home. You're looking for something real and meaningful. I'm offering something real and meaningful." I looked around her office again, seeing it now as part of a space that could potentially become my space too. "Are you seriously suggesting that I buy your house and that we— what? Live together?" "I'm suggesting that we see where this leads," she said. "Maybe you buy the house, and I move somewhere else, but we continue exploring what's happening between us. Maybe you buy the house and I stay, and we figure out what it means to share a space. Maybe neither of those things, but we stop pretending there isn't something happening between us that goes beyond real estate." What happened next felt like the most natural progression in the world. The tour continued, but it became something entirely different. Sophia sharing not just her physical space, but her life, her hopes, her dreams for what home could mean when it's shared with someone you care about. We spent hours that evening talking about everything except real estate, our backgrounds, our goals, our fears, about opening ourselves up to something that had started in such an unconventional way. You know, Sophia said as we sat together on her living room sofa later that evening, in 15 years of selling houses, I've learned that the perfect home isn't about square footage or neighborhood statistics. It's about finding a space where you feel like you can be completely yourself. Is that what this is? I asked. What do you think? She said, curling up next to me in a way that felt both new and completely natural. I looked around her living room, our living room, potentially, and realized that for the first time in months of house hunting, I felt completely at ease, completely at home. I think, I said, that you might be right about this being the perfect property for me. She smiled and kissed me softly. Good. Because I wasn't sure how I was going to explain to my colleagues why I'd decided to take my house off the market if you weren't interested. That was 7 months ago. I did end up buying Sophia's house, though the negotiation process was unlike anything either of us had experienced professionally. We took things slowly, both the real estate transaction and the personal relationship, making sure that what we felt for each other was real and sustainable rather than just the excitement of crossing professional boundaries. Sophia helped me navigate the mortgage process, the home inspection, all the legal details of the purchase. But more than that, she helped me understand what it means to create a home with someone else, to build something meaningful and lasting with a person who sees you clearly and chooses to be with you anyway. Do you ever regret it? I asked her recently as we were making dinner together in our kitchen. The same kitchen where she'd first told me this was her home. Regret what? She said, moving to stand behind me and wrap her arms around my waist. Showing you the perfect house or falling for the perfect client? Either, both. Never, she said, kissing the back of my neck. Though I have to admit, my approach to client relations has become much more conventional since then. I should hope so, I said, laughing. We still laugh about how we met, how an innocent house hunt turned into the most important relationship of both our lives. Sophia was right about one thing. The perfect home isn't about square footage or location. It's about finding a space where you can be completely yourself with someone who loves you exactly as you are. Sometimes the best real estate deals are the ones that come with more than just square footage. Sometimes you're not just buying a house, you're buying into a life with someone who understands that home is about much more than the building you live in. If you have similar secrets or unexpected connections, share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Secret Stories for more intimate confessions and hidden moments. Thanks for watching.